Welcome back to Kingdom Calls. This is a podcast that looks forward and back at all things Kerry GAA. And we've had an exciting couple of weeks. We took a break last week. John O'Dowd was planning a trip to Manchester, or to Grimsby, and he called it off, luckily for him. And we're back this week with Kingdom Calls. We'll be looking forward to the championship games, the two quarterfinals basically everywhere. Two senior quarterfinals, four quarterfinals from the Intermediate Championship, and also Junior Premier. Now, we also will take a look at what's happening in the other side of the GAA, and that is, of course, the reappointment of Jack O'Connor and his entire management team for another 2-year term. And of course, we have Pat McCarthy is elevated to the position of selector as well as being a coach. We don't know too much about the under 20 or under 18s right now, but we might speculate and throw a name into the hat that could surprise a lot of people. It depends on whether John Kennedy is brave enough. Speaking about John Kennedy, John from Ashty, 3 All-Ireland medals. I've introduced him so many times. Do you ever win a junior medal in Kerry?
No, not.
No. Do you win a senior medal in Kerry?
No.
No. A bad time that time for Shannon Rangers. Were you Shannon or Field?
Shannon Rangers, yeah.
Shannon Rangers.
No, didn't.
No, never.
County semi-final, I think, was the furthest we got that time.
Was it? Yeah. Because he'd have a good... Was Jackie Walsh and those guys gone?
No, they were still there, and Beale actually went senior at that time as well.
Yeah.
And they were a huge loss.
They were, of course, yeah. Well, we'll be on to County Championship, of course, in the middle of October with the preliminary rounds, and then I think it's, middle of September, and then October the 5th is the start of the Senior County Championship. And by the way, for all of you who do not read newspapers, particularly what John O'Dowd writes, you will be surprised to realise that the County Championship this year is going from the 5th right to the October Bank Holiday weekend. No break in between the semi-final and the final, and that is to facilitate the Kerry team holiday, which will be starting, I think, roughly they're flying out on the bank holiday Monday or maybe the Tuesday. John O'Dowd, I've introduced him already. He's a little bit shook and shaken today. I think he's worried about his turf. I think it has nothing to do with Man United whatsoever. He said, don't mention it or you'll be barred from club. So I have no idea what he's going to do to me. But John, anyway, you're welcome. Thanks for coming, making the long journey in. And there is a good goalkeeper. Well, we'll continue on with the show. Now, Jack O'Connor is back. Jack is back for back-to-back. Is that possible? And are you pleased, John Kennedy? I know you were in the running. I know you made several trips to Killarney. You bought a lot of lunches in the Pattler Jack. Spent a lot of money and it didn't work. But are you pleased that Jack is back?
Yeah, I think it was inevitable, Murt, in fairness. I think it was a tough year, I suppose, particularly after the Meath game. It has been well documented. You know, the criticism that came both from supporters and, you know, people on the outside. A lot of injuries. It was a new management team. People shouldn't forget that. And I think they circled the wagons, and you know, their performances from the quarter-final on were excellent. Unearthed a number of new players, and players that I suppose 6 months ago they wouldn't have been named as being on the team or being part of the team.
They would be in the tip of the tongue anyway.
Absolutely, and I think they acquitted themselves well. Great victory. The other side of it is this myth about northern teams.
Yeah.
It was really put to bed. Yeah. And we played some great football.
We won the Ulster Championship.
Yeah. And I think, in fairness, the feel-good factor around the county, you know, everybody bought into it. It was absolutely superb.
It's still around, I think.
Still there. It's brilliant. And fair play to Jack and the management team. Deserve it. And I think it was a no-brainer. And he deserves to be back in position. And there's people talking about back-to-back already. Huge. It's a huge ask. But look, that's for another day. But it's great to see them back. And as you said, Pat McCarthy is upgraded to a selector, and from the outset, looking in from outside, I think that they're a unit that gel well. I think Jack has you know, he's given out jobs to the lads, and he's while he is the boss, he has put faith in the fellas around him, And I think you'll actually gain momentum by doing it. And his experience is vital. And particularly through the time when we had the injuries, players missing, there was no negativity in the press by him about who was missing at any time. Got on with the business.
Yeah, John O'Dowd, very calm. Jack is. He's reporting in the papers this morning in an interview that he gave, and he also spoke to Aidan O'Connor that criticism did affect them, and particularly on the outside. He actually named Darragh O'Shea in his criticism today in the papers. He did, but he said that he doesn't mind criticism by pundits on, maybe a team selection, tactics and things. I mean, all is fair in love and war, but he thought it got a bit personal. But he did also say that he felt in all his years of management, and he'd been around since 1997 as a selector, etc., that he felt that this was the best team that he had in terms of management team. They gelled well together as a collective. They were very good. And we were talking over before the All-Ireland final, James Costello and Aidan McGarrald in particular really emphasised that aspect of Jack, who delegates, and gave everybody a job, and everybody did their job, and then he has the final say, obviously. So it appears that they're a good group together, and probably that is why they have stayed together.
It just shows you how quickly things can change. If you go back 12 months after we lost to Armagh, and all the doom and gloom around the county between the way we lost and the way football was, and go back to the quarter-final against Derry, even though we won, nobody enjoyed it. And then you look, Jack had to suffer the loss of Micheál Quirke and Murt Murphy, and then eventually a while after that, Paddy Talley. Like, they were all loyal lieutenants of his, and they had worked together, and they had won the 2022 All-Ireland. So Jack was in a really, really difficult position. And you know as well, John, like, there were rumblings around the county. Sure, his management team are gone, so Jack should go as well. And he admitted himself that he had his thoughts on his own position and whether it was the right thing to do to stay on. And then you have to assemble a brand new management team from nowhere, and you have to get them to gel. There has to be a camaraderie there. They have to work well together. There has to be delegation of roles. There's so many different individual jobs now in a backroom team that it's unbelievable. It's like full time. And then you have to recover from the Meath match, the injuries to key players. Like, when you consider the way it has turned around over the last 3 matches, it's arguably the best All-Ireland title we've ever won. Like, people will have different views on that depending on how many years they go back. For me, it's the best. Obviously, it's got the recency bias as well, that it's the closest, and it's the one where we've just won. But I think, considering all the circumstances, and like, we forget Jack is at the coalface of management and being a selector for over 30 years now. Like, it's gigantic commitment.
Yeah.
I know he has a little bit more time now because he's retired from school, but even at that, it's 21 years between his first senior All-Ireland victory as a manager and the current one. Like, that doesn't happen too often in the modern game. It was a bit different before. I was actually looking through Dr. Eamon O'Sullivan's record between his first All-Ireland and his last All-Ireland. And it's
what club was he from?
It's actually, we won't mention that for our producer, but it's actually gigantic, the distance between first and last. But obviously Jack was a bit emotional after the final, and he kind of, within a couple of interviews, he had kind of said that was it.
Yeah.
But you always knew that once the county board wanted him, once the players wanted him, once the other members of the management, like, who really are still only settling in, there's probably a lot more to come from them. There's probably more to come from certain players. It's the best news possible, because just say if Jack had decided tomorrow morning that was it, it would not have been an easy role to fill.
No, it would not. And the thing is, he said as well, you touched on it, John, that he was kind of left high and dry. Well, not left high and dry, that's unfair to me, all and Dima, but he was left with nothing for that extra year, for last year, and then he had to assemble these guys together. And he said things worked out so well, it would be wrong, he would feel bad about leaving them high and dry and looking for another manager to come in. So that's what he felt. Actually, you know the way people have spiritual awakenings and people, you know, on the road to Damascus changed there, and fellas like could walk between Lewis Road and Derreen and change supporting Crokes to Legion. Well, Jack said his sort of Damascus moment was when he was playing golf in holidays, and he said as he drove another ball into a lake somewhere, right, he was suffering a hook or something, that when that happened to him, he decided, look, if he can lose 2 or 3 balls in a lake, what could happen if he didn't go back? He got kind of, his love, he said, came back, but it had never gone, but his desire, and he said once the management team wanted him, once the county board wanted him, and particularly the players as well, it was a no-brainer. So it's great news, I think. And I'm a very quick word. I'm particularly pleased for Pam McCarthy to get the selector road. It makes it. I can't remember. You might remember because you're old, right? And actually, he said the Great All Ireland ever, 84 when you were involved with the Great All Ireland that I remember. All right, okay. I don't know, did you play or not? But anyway, we normally have 3 selectors in Kerry, and one time the county board used to, and that was changed. County board delegates used to pick them. Yeah. Then we had 4 in 75. I know because Eddie Clatter was involved that year, and I think Tom O'Connor involved another year, all the lads. But I don't know when that stopped, but it's always been 2 or 3, and now we've 4 again. 4 selectors. We have Cian O'Neill, Aidan, James, and Pa. Am I right, John? Yeah, that's 4, isn't it? Yeah. So 4 selectors, is that too many, or is it important for Pa? He does great work there outside with St. Pat's, and he was working with St. Brendan's with James Costello as well, wasn't he? He's done a lot of teams. He's a good guy.
It's promotion, in fairness, and he was involved and obviously rated by Jack that he was given the role, and you know, it's as you said, to gel guys together and to learn about them. I think that's crucial, and to delegate the work to the selectors is very important. And a lot of managers don't do it. Yeah. It's a personal thing. They keep it to themselves. But Jack has been around, and it's amazing, like you said, the appetite and wanting to go back. But I think when he looks at it, you know, the squad he has, they're at the right time in their careers, in their playing careers. Hopefully, some of the injuries will be okay for next year. And we spoke about the fringe players. I think it's evident from the county championship so far. The likes of Eddie Healy, Cathal O'Beglake, you know, these guys, they're playing really well, and that augurs well for the future as well, because these lads have been in with them. That's just to name 2. They've been inside in training, and there's nowhere to learn better than to be inside marking the quality players like David Clifford, Shawnee Shea. You know, that's where you learn.
The competition for places next year is going to be absolutely intense. Just to make the 26 will be an achievement from match to match.
John O'Dowd, you know Pam McCarthy, you meet him, you've interviewed him, and you've seen him in action with the school as well in the Cornivery. You have a lot of regard from and time from, haven't you?
Yeah, all those lads. Like everyone that got involved in that team this year, like, because if you go back to 12...
What about Arthur Fitzgerald? Is he still in your good books?
He's never been not in my good books. He might have been not in your good books at some stage.
I know, yeah, that was because one time I accused him of not being able to run, and he trained athlete, but won.
But like Aidan, James Costello, Cian O'Neill, Pa, they all, Brian Kelly, goalkeeping coach, we spoke to him last weekend after the Legion game. He was still buzzing from being involved in that. He felt it was probably one of the most professional setups that he's ever been involved in. It's huge. Like, they all played their part. Like,
Dr. Cian O'Neill is a fabulous organiser as well, and he's got scientific knowledge and everything.
But I suppose it's not about bringing in fellas out of the cold either. James Costello had been with the Kerry Miners. Aidan had played. Pa has huge experience.
And by the way, James Costello got a lot of stick from certain quarters of the Kerry Miners. He reached 2 All-Ireland semi-finals with an All-Ireland final, which we lost during COVID or whatever. I mean, he had a very successful period with Kerry.
There's no doubt, but look, this criticism, Murt, and I was part of a minor and under 21 management team. We all got criticism. Nobody's beyond it. But constructive criticism we'll all take. But you know, when people go above and beyond, you know, that hurts. But it gets personal. And I said it after the Meath game, looking at the families of the players in the car park, looking into space after a beating, you know, things not looking well, the future wasn't too bright, you'd feel sorry for them, because we all know what goes into it. The commitment, the time, you know, the mental strain that goes in from a management team to get things right, and you're depending on the players to do it when they go out in the field. That's what it's about.
And the thing is, like, no team has a divine right to win the All-Ireland every year.
Yeah.
It's a very, very, very difficult competition to win.
It is.
And it's just got harder since the back door, the qualifiers, different group stages, different formats, new rules. It's just a really, really hard thing to win. And we've won 2 of the last 4. We've been in another final and another semi-final. I don't think we give this group of players and this management enough of credit for that level of consistency. We had a semi-final the previous year before Jack came in first in 2022. We had a final going back 2 years before that in 2019. So over the last 7 years or so, we've arguably been the most consistent team. Obviously Dublin were more consistent in winning at the time. But you know, like when you consider the level of competition, you're just talking about the Ulster teams in one province only. Galway, Mayo, they'll always be there or thereabouts. Dublin will always be there. It's not easy to win these competitions. Like David Clifford said something last week, you know, you actually have to enjoy them when you do win them, because you don't know when's the next one going to come.
Yeah.
We have a great panel, but other teams have great panels as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, if that wasn't an audition for becoming a statistician with the Kerry team, nothing is. Now, at the county committee meeting on Tuesday night, there was no mention of under 20s or minors, but at under 20 level, I'm hearing that no change possibly. Tomas O'Shea, are you hearing that in your trips, in your
that's the rumour, Murt, is that there's going to be no change. It remains to be seen. Again, look, will Tomas O'Shea give it a commitment and stay on with his management team? Yeah. Will he move on? It's you know,
it's a short-term competition in terms of it's over in 6 or 7 weeks, but you have to prepare for it as well, of course.
You have to prepare for it, is right, and you know, I suppose that tis not immediate at the moment, in that there's a bit of space. And,
there's a space, you know, to do that, I suppose, the thing. And then the minor manager, I was told that it was going to be probably Wayne again, but now I've heard there's another name being mentioned, thrown out there. A former Kerry minor manager, a very successful kind of minor manager who has, you know, who's had an inter-county job since and is back in the county. And I believe he's been sounded out. Whether he'll be interested now, John, or not, is another. I'm talking about Peter Keane. Do you think he might be interested? I can't see him going into under 20s, because I don't think Jack and himself would, if they were discussing players to go up from one group to the other, it might not be, well, you'd want an interpreter probably. But anyway, minor age is different. Wayne has done a great job.
And I think at this moment in time, whether it's Tomas O'Shea at under 20 level or Wayne Quillinan at minor level, I think it's unfair to speculate on what might happen in their particular roles looking into 2026. Because we have heard no official confirmation of whether they are not staying in their particular roles for next year. So any talk about potential successors to those two men is, in my opinion, very unfair right now. We actually don't know what's happening with them at the moment. And until we hear whether they're staying for another term or whether they're leaving, I think we should leave it at that.
But would it be fair to say that if they weren't staying, they'd have addressed it and spoken to the county board by now?
You would imagine because like you talk about that there's loads of time for these competitions, but there isn't really, John, in the modern game.
Exactly,
like if you're going to be under 20 manager for 2026, you're obviously watching the club championship now. And there's a minor championship on at the moment as well. So if you're looking ahead to minor for next year, you're watching players as well. It doesn't really stop. There's no break as such. So if you're in charge for next year, you're already building towards that. It doesn't wait. And
in fairness to both men and their management teams, they have massive work done.
Yeah.
It's while you want to win in All Ireland at whatever level you're at underage in particular, it's about preparing them and getting them ready for the big step up.
They are principally developmental roles.
They are, and the other thing is, if you're talking about Tomas and in particular Wayne, I mean, he's a gift to the media. He meets us. I mean, it's part of his function, but it's not. He's not going to be judged on what he does with the media. But he is very media friendly and very helpful, to be fair to him. So we'd like to see him staying on, if possible. Now, let's turn to the action on the field of play and the story of the championship. I was ridiculed here at the start of when we started off. I was told no chance. I was actually told about 100 to 1 was their chance of even winning a match. Down, languishing in Division 3, no forwards, too many injuries, fellas away, have since. Murt, you're talking stupid.
That was basically
again.
what you said yourself. You wrote them off.
No, it was. And the two of you were the principal men who wrote the Gael off. I would venture to suggest that, particularly in the senior championship, the team of the senior championship and the surprise team, as you would call it, are the Gael. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say so much surprise, Murt. I suppose if you look at the form coming into it, you would have to say they weren't ticking all the boxes. Huge number of injuries, players missing. But you look at the quality of players, like was Diarmuid O'Connor going to play? We didn't know how he was with that shoulder injury.
I did.
Jack Barry was back. Stephen Akumbar, who's prone to injury as well. Those three players, they're huge players for them. And I suppose defensively and up to midfield, they're as good as anybody, any club team.
1 to 9, I'd say they're as good as any.
Up front was their problem, like Dara Camerdy missing, a scoring forward. You need those guys, Dan Goggin, you need all those fellas. But look, Diarmuid O'Connor has been inspirational for them. Cumbar has had a great campaign so far, and
the Barry's Fergal,
O'Connor, and Jack Barry coming back. He sometimes we underestimate the value of players until they're missing. And when he was gone from Kerry, then we realised the job he was doing. And it's a tribute to him that he's come back in that shape. There was questions, would he be involved with Kerry in the closing stages of the championship? But he wasn't. But look, he's back, huge boost for the Gael, and they topped the table and deservedly.
And the arrival of Oisin Mansell from Abidorney and the Kerry Hurlers has been absolutely talismanic for the Gael forward line, because he's just, you know him, Murt, we know him. He's just such an infectious, enthusiastic, effervescent character, but he's like a brilliant footballer. I remember covering that minor team. You talk about that James Costello minor team during COVID. I would have been at every one of their games all the way up to the All-Ireland final when they lost by a point. I think it was to Derry in Tullamore. It was obviously the year after. I think their year was 2020 and the final might have been 2021 or something, and they lost by a single point. They had 3 chances at the end of the game to get an equaliser. It was really heartbreaking. Killian Burke and I think maybe Armin Heinrich and other lads like that were on the team. Cian McMahon was playing, They had a really good team as well. But Oisin Mansell was wing back. I think he might have been captain even of the team, but he was like you would have compared him to a young Seamus Moynihan.
Would you?
The way he played football, and the way he was an inspirational figure from half back, and he could kick points. And then between all the injuries he had, and really serious injuries, and the hurling commitments and this and that, he basically didn't play football for 3 years, and then turned up against Austin Stacks and came off the bench and scored a goal and 2 points. You can only do that if you're naturally talented. And now that his fitness levels are where he needs them to be to compete at the top level, he's just added a new dimension to that team, which the Gael probably didn't expect to have. And I think we also have to say the return of Donald Rooney is absolutely huge. He won an All-Ireland with Gael. He knows this group of players. He knows what makes...
he played with Gael.
He knows what makes them tick. And he had them in such a state for that game against Austin Stacks that from being there and seeing it after 20 minutes or a half an hour, you knew that they weren't going to lose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I suppose the biggest thing then was to carry that forward to get a win down in Temple No, who were really smart and from a hammering by Stacks, and on their home ground they would have been hopeful of a resurrection in their own performance.
And say for the first maybe 10 or 12 minutes where Temple No had the lion's share of possession and kicked a few points, it was Gael that came back, and the goal was crucial. and put them in front, and they never looked like being beaten. Now, they're playing Dingle. You would have seen Dingle, John O'Dowd against Kinmare, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw them against Milton Castlemaine, and I wasn't impressed with them because they were down bodies, and they were 6 down at half time. It was a poor first half, and then hey presto, Paul Gainey jumps in from the sideline, plays the second half, and he scores 1-8, and they absolutely beat him out the gate. And I thought in last weekend, well, Milltown, after seeing him they have no chance against Kinmare, who had beaten Dingle, and that was one of the best games of the year of the championship so far. And John, you were looking to be commentating on that. Yeah. Now, I'll ask you this. To me, it's a contrast in style. Dingle do a lot of hand passing, particularly if the Gainies are involved. They pass the ball. They have an older midfield than most. Billy O'Connor and Daradan around a long time. They're strong, hard men, good at breaking ball. But when Barry Dan is gone, they're not fleet-footed. They haven't the pace anymore. They're going to be coming up against a pacey midfield. They're going to be coming against pacey wing-backs and Enda O'Connor, and the running game that Temple found difficult to handle. Dingle might on Saturday evening at 5 o'clock here in the Ossestag Park. Do you give Nagale a chance against Dingle?
You would have to give him a chance, Murt. But going back to Dingle, you know, the number of players they were missing that day against Milton Castlemaine back in Dingle, I was at it. There was probably 8 first-team players missing. No Gainey involved. And then Paul came in. I think Paul's role
Mikey Gainey was involved.
Mikey Gainey was involved.
Yeah.
Paul's role was crucial in that he played. He actually ended out in midfield.
Midfield.
Yeah.
He was the other man at this side of the pitch for the throw-in.
And he was the go-to man from the defence to give him the ball.
Yeah.
And then he looked, and the quality of ball he gave in into Banbury at times. Cathal Banbury had a very good game against Milton as well. But they funneled back. They were defensively, they were well set up, particularly in the second half. And you know, it remains to be seen, will any of the injured players be back for the weekend? But like
Conor Flannery, the 6th, had a very good game that day in a forward position. Yeah. He was the link man until Paul came in,
and he was given a license to go forward.
He was.
Tom Leo and the boys were staying back and minding the house as such.
Is Paul Gainey going to be another job for Stefan Acumbar?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who picks him up.
Yeah, well, he's done Killeen Spillane. He's done Joe Connor. Now is he going to get another one?
Yeah,
another big man to knock down.
And you know, his footballing ability and his brain, like he kicked a few 2-pointers. He took the responsibility.
Stefan.
Paul. Right. And the goal he finished was a superb strike to the roof of the net. You know, he just it kind of defies what people are saying about, you know, a player at this stage of his career, the appetite he has and the freshness. Now we know he missed games with Kerry because of the injury, but really he lit up Park and Nahasig for the second half that day with a superb performance.
I'll put a point to you before I'll ask your verdict, John. Would you think, with the likes of Conor Sullivan is out, Michael Flannery is out, or was out for the Milltown game, that's 2 weeks ago, and you also have Tom O'Sullivan, not Leo, the other Tom, Kerry Tom we call him, with an injury.
Niall Gainey, Matthew Flaherty,
and
Colin
and Dillon. Now, would you be thinking that maybe Dingle are thinking, well, Paul will play, and with the team we have, we'll go at Nagale, we'll get to the semi-final, we'll see how we're doing. And let's hold back those players because we're going to have a rattle at the county championship. There's only 14 teams going to be in it. We could get a bye into the quarter-final. 2 teams will, a chance in 2 out of 14 or whatever chance. And let's have a full team there and have a go. We lost out in the final last year. Or will we go, introduce Tom, etc., and find out that they're gone after 20 minutes and then gone for the championship? How would you look at it? How would you look at it as a manager?
I think they'll hold them. I don't think they'll put them in if they're not right. You know, they're the lads in charge.
Jim
they know the story.
And Tommy Griffin and Paul Cochran.
They're long enough around to know.
Aidan O'Shea's with them this year. Aidan Jacko.
If they're not 100%, maybe you might see him introduced for the last 10 or 15 minutes when the pace has died down. Yeah. But I wouldn't expect
it's a huge window of opportunity for Nagale.
It is.
This is a Dingle maybe at 50 to 60% of their capabilities player-wise.
Yeah.
And while they have some good young players coming through like Ned Ryan and Ty De Bruyne has been very consistent this year along with Cathal Banbury.
His brother as well, is it Leo De Bruyne?
Yeah, it's I would say if Dingle have the same team that they had the last day and they've nobody back who are missing, Nagale should be capable of winning.
They should be, but whether they will or not is another matter. Yeah, Dingle, I would be tipping Dingle for the quality of their sandwiches that they gave me the last day, but I can't do that. I think Nagale have a chance. What do you think?
Oh, they definitely have a chance. There's no question about that. But I think.
But if you think Dingle might be more battle-hardened,
I think the experience Dingle have, and the Paul Ganey factor. I think that I give him a hesitant vote.
I knew you'd turn coat again in me. I had you primed to give Nagale the vote, and you turned on me. John, I'd say you Dingle as well. Looking at you.
No, like I said to you, I don't expect Dingle to have a full deck of cards at their disposal this weekend. I'm going to go for the outsider. I'm going to go for Nagale to nick it by 2 points.
Oh God almighty, that's the end of them anyway. You'd stop the Orient Express. Anyway, that's that game. The second game, John, which you will be involved in, is the game between Rathmore, who are in there, and of course I suppose they're playing Stacks, but when you're looking at Rathmore, you're looking at doughty championship campaigners. They have just fallen short in a lot of cases of getting over the line, but they're still a very, very strong outfit. They proved against the last night. They're getting a lot of guys back. The Houlihan's, I think Brian Friel went off injured in Rathmore. That could be worry for them. But the two Ryans are back. Mark is back. Is Cahill back?
Cahill has been playing all the
time. Playing all the time. Shane is in goals. If William Casey, he'd probably go out. Paul Murphy on the 40 is a strange one. How do you rate, and then I'll get John to talk about Stacks. How do you rate Rathmore? They're a threat.
There's no doubt, they're a threat. They're a team. They're always difficult to beat. Sometimes they're punch above their weight, being honest with you. They're very hard to beat when it comes to championship. We've seen the last number of years there when they play Dr. Crokes, who would be the standard bearers in Kerry. They're the gauge, and they do really well. Do you know the likes of Alan Deneen and Andrew Minehan and those guys, really good footballers.
John Minehan didn't play the last day now. He didn't play. He's
a prolific goal scorer. Mm-hmm. Paul Murphy on the 40 as a playmaker, using his experience, bringing guys in.
I think Sean Murphy didn't play either.
He's been injured as well, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Matt Green came on.
Matt Green, yeah.
There are a lot of options.
So, they have options. As you said, Shane Ryan, will he be in goals? He came out the field the last day and kicked a great point off his left leg. But will be tough. And
was he just showing off doing that? There was no need to do it. Was he just showing off to say, I'm a goalkeeper, I can go upfield and kick
I think it shows the ability he has.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic footballer. And you need that as a goalie now as well. He's really comfortable on the ball, and his kickouts.
He's a real nice lad as well.
Yeah,
and really, Rathmore should have beaten Dr. Crokes.
Yeah.
In the first
Hang on a second, you want the cameras to shut down permanently and this won't go out near at all.
They were well capable of beating Dr. Crokes that day.
Alex Hennigan, my hero,
took a late goal from young Hennigan, to turn the game around. But Rathmore would be very disappointed that day because for long periods of that match, they were the better team.
Yeah. So, Stacks, John, we saw them, obviously, and they didn't play. They were beaten by Nagale. They had previously beaten Temple, up in Conley Park.
Jekyll and Hyde in the two matches so far, you'd have to say. They were outstanding against Temple No, showed that they had huge strength and depth, were missing key players, and didn't miss a beat. They were excellent. They scored something like, I forget, was it 118 or something, all from open play. They look genuine contenders to go all the way in the competition or challenge for the title. Second time around, I think the thing that will concern Dara Long and the squad themselves the most from the Nagale match was they didn't show enough appetite for the battle.
Yeah. When you play Rathmore, you'll battle.
They had to be expecting Nagale to come out with all guns blazing, and they didn't cope with it. It's fair to say they don't need me to tell them that. Yeah. I'm sure Dara has told them that, and they know themselves.
Yeah. They scored 118, by the way. You have great memory.
So the response from Austin Stacks this weekend is the big conundrum. I would expect hugely that they're going to improve their game from the...
I think Paddy Lane is out injured, and did he go for an upper? I think Paddy's out. I think Paddy.
Well, you'd imagine Daniel Kirby and Greg Horn will definitely come back into the team.
They've loads of options.
Maybe among other players, because there would have been a huge disappointment on Rock Street with that performance against Nagale. Like, they were big favourites coming into the match. They were expected to win. Maybe did they underestimate Nagale a small bit? You would hope that they didn't.
I think they probably wouldn't admit it, but I'd say subconsciously some of the players in their minds would have probably thought, down Division 3, they haven't been playing well, we can beat these. But it creeps in
championship.
Right? In local derbies, I don't think you can underestimate anyone.
Local derbies and championship football, you can't look at it. And maybe it shows the inexperience of some of these guys. Were they taking things for granted? Walls through the county league. It's totally different.
Maybe the Temple North match didn't do them any good.
Exactly.
Because they won too easily.
John, they have very good defenders. Again, like the Nagale 1-9, you couldn't have fault them really. And they have options there. Like Greg Horn to come in, Daniel Kirby to come in. But when you're looking at the forward division, they've tried, the Fake the Mangan there, the Darragh O'Brien they brought in, Paddy Lane. Didn't go well for him against the Nagale.
Sean Quilter's enigmatic.
Sean Quilter, do they have? And it was the same, I think, under Billy Lee. Do you remember the first day against Down Rangers? They could have been beaten. Second day, they were much better.
Even in the county championship of 2021 that Wayne won with Austin Stacks, they didn't have a hugely prolific forward line in that competition either. They managed really to win it on the strength of their defence. And how brilliant they were at the back, and they didn't concede a lot of scores. So scoring power has been an issue for Austin Stacks for a while. And especially they have a lot of young players. You could see the likes of Cian Purcell now coming back into the team. He was a big player last year. I think they will make a good few changes.
Heinrich has 6 points of their 2 games got already. Quilter is in 1-8. Paddy Lane is in 1-6. Kirby has 2. Joe O'Connor has 2, Shane O'Callaghan. Now there's a guy that didn't play against Nagale, and he's a gutsy lad. He's a lad that gets stuck in. Maybe against Strathmore you'd like to see Shane O'Callaghan.
I think it's a 50-50 match.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I fancy Stacks. I do strongly. Nothing against Strathmore, but I fancy there's got to be a return to the Stacks that were playing County League and winning all round, and with the underage talent they have. After they kind of failed against Nagale, didn't play, weren't allowed to play, failed to, really land a blow maybe. Now there's only 3 points in at the end, but I think they've got to hit back on this one. If they have any ambitions for a county championship run, they've got to beat Strathmore here. Won't be easy, but they've got to beat them.
Their talent is unquestionable, Murt. We've said that several times. So
who are you going for?
To repeat what I said a few times is, they have so many players. What's their best 15?
Oh, that's it.
And I agree with John. I think the younger lads up front, they're lacking a leader maybe, or a fellow with experience.
Yeah.
Do you know that will take the pressure off the Paddy Lanes and the Daniel Kirbys.
Absolutely, yeah. It reminds me of your job trying to pick your first 15 for HD. It must be a headache.
And one thing we shouldn't underestimate as well is the jump up from intermediate to senior level. We shouldn't be expecting miracles from Austin Stacks as well this year, just because it is Austin Stacks and the history and the tradition, and because they've always been a senior club. Now they're having to find their feet again at the top
young
table,
players
with a lot of young players and a new management team. So it's not going to be seamless from week to week. And I suppose that's what we saw between Temple No, Nagale, inconsistency. And that's probably going to be their story maybe for the rest of the year. We don't know.
And if you were a Nagale player or a management going out, not knowing what they said or what, but you were playing Stacks who were highly rated. It was a real opportunity. You were being written off. It was a real opportunity.
Well, they were being written off by the two of you.
To get stuck in, to play to their ability, which they did, and not allow Austin Stacks play. And that's exactly what happened, I think.
So call it, lads, for me. I'm going Stacks this time.
I think Stacks, there will be a backlash from the Nagale game. Yeah,
I expect a huge backlash from Austin Stacks. They will play a lot better. But I can't agree with the two of you because it wouldn't look good. So I'm going to go for Rathmore to edge this one, cause another little bit of an upset.
You're stealing my lines from the Donegal Kerry thing now. That was a dig at me because of my Man United sort of jibes earlier on. What do you think, John?
Well, maybe.
Well, you see, he won't commit. He won't commit. Now, on to the Intermediate Championship, lads. The first one I have down here is a game that's on Saturday, and it's on at 4 o'clock. I think it's the Legion versus Glenflesk. Legion versus Glenflesk. John O'Dowd, I'll start with you. Legion versus Glenflesk. Legion, not great in their first game here against Lown Rangers, but have put it together since, I suggest. You saw them against Ballydonoghue.
I've seen both these teams over the last 2 weekends. I saw Legion against Ballydonoghue and Glenflesk against Castleisland.
Yeah.
I would probably say that Glenflesk, when they're playing well, potentially have more flair, especially attacking wise, than Legion have. But I saw a more reliable type of performance from Legion last Saturday against Ballydonoghue. It wasn't special, but it was kind of at a consistently decent level over the whole of the 60 minutes. It was a game that they were always in control of, while Glenflesk they've been so hot and cold. Like, they nicked the game against St. Mary's that they could have lost. They nicked
St. Mary's, the unluckiest team in the championship.
They nicked the game against Castleisland Desmonds that they could have lost. They weren't able to nick the game last week against Ungaeltacht, and they did lose it. It's a really, really 50-50 game. I actually don't really know how to call it. I had Glenflesk tipped earlier in the season to go all the way to the final, so I better stick with them. But if you were to ask me now to put the gun in the head, I would just think on this particular game, I think Legion might be just a little bit more reliable.
They have home advantages, well, of course. John, what would you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with John a lot of the points he
James
made.
O'Donnell came on as well the second half.
Yeah, scored a point, got 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So
yeah, Ryan O'Grady, these guys, you know, they're consistent. Apart from maybe the opening 10-15 minutes here in the first game, you know, where they were really found they just couldn't get to the pitch of the game. They recovered well against Lown Rangers, and you know, David O'Sullivan, these guys. Glenflesk, like John said, hot and cold. I think it's typical of this intermediate championship.
Yeah.
You know, you could pick Legion and they could be beaten. You could pick Glenflesk and they could be beaten. It's so difficult. John mentioned Ungaeltacht. All these games are really finals. There's so little to choose between the teams.
Yeah,
but I think home advantage, that little bit more experience that Legion have, could be enough to shade it. But then you look at the likes of Luke Crowley, Darrell Roach, who's going well again on the other side. Tommy Bowler. You know, very difficult to go against them as well.
Yeah.
So it's a 50-50 game, but I would probably say that Glenflesk could just get there, in spite of Legion being at home.
Yeah, and with you, I think Legion are a good side, solid side, home advantage, and the Walsh won't like this. But I think that Glenflesk, as John said, the flair of Luke Danuke, of the Roaches, the three of them, you know, they have your man Cronin as well, Callum Cronin, they have, and if what's his name, Jeff O'Donoghue's fit, Jeff is a big player for them. They're good at midfield, they're tigerish enough at the back. I think a good goalkeeper. I think that what happened to him, that it was a wake-up call against Ungaeltacht, and they know that this is do or die. They're gone. Their season is over if they lose. It happened to him at home last year. If you remember, Lown Rangers took him after extra time. Don't
rule out extra time in this match.
Yeah, there could be extra time. Wouldn't rule it out. Just slightly fancy Glenflesk.
Daniel O'Brien is another player that's going well for them.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, they've got good. They're good lads. So that's that one. Now at 6 o'clock, if you move down the road, is it down the road? Up the road, I'd say there in Killarney. Up the road, up the hill, with all the traffic, if you can get through the traffic, and up into Kilcummin, where they will look after everybody so well. Really, thanks to Kilcummin last weekend. There is a ladder you have to climb into the media box. If you're afraid of heights, you're in trouble. You'll be lifted up there. And you'll see a game between Kilcummin, who I was at last week. Obviously, Kilcummin beaten Fossa, which was a big, big surprise. And they're playing a team who caused another surprise or shock. That was Listowel. I was at that on Saturday with Tim McCarney. And the Listowel were mighty impressive against Lown Rangers. So the Lown Rangers are poor on the day are flat. and Listowel were very, very good, but they were very, very good, John. Eddie Healy, Eddie Brown, Pa Walsh, those three, Jojo at midfield, and then you Sean Keane, Sam Tarrant up front, Jamie McVeigh, mother makes lovely sandwiches, and Aaron Kelly.
Yeah.
A very good side. How do you read this one?
Yeah, Listowel, you'd have to say they were the surprise packets last week. Not so much the win, but the manner and the margin.
Yeah.
But like the guys you named out there, huge, while they're young, they have a lot of experience of playing. They've come up from the junior ranks. Last year was a year of finding their feet. Maybe similar toss and stacks. There is a huge step up.
Mark O'Shea is the backroom team, and good wise man and a good wise head as well, and Inda Murphy.
Yeah.
And Noel Kennelly's involved with him, the chairman, but he doesn't say much.
No. But look, Listowel, and it's good for North Kerry football to see.
And they have a goalkeeper at the moment nearly as old as myself.
The goalkeeper's only
Shane Quinn.
Yeah, he's 3 years younger than you. 3 years younger than you, and he needs a moped transport up and down the pitch in between halves.
If you talk about experience, that man has experience. But Kilcummin, going back to Kilcummin, is going to be a really tough game.
He made a couple of great saves that Saturday, Shane Quinn. Unbelievable. The fact that he could get down, he was able to get down. He had to get help getting up. But very, very good keeper. And his kick-outs are really good to big men out the field. He can find them. He's a lower trajectory. He can hit the high one.
You'd have to say fair play to him for answering the call. Listowel have one of the best young goalkeepers in the county, in Jack Enright, and unfortunately he got a very serious knee injury, so he's going to be out for a period of time. Like, he was the starting goalkeeper for Field Rangers last year. Would have been definitely in contention for the North Kerry team coming up later in the county championship.
And unlike John, a former goalkeeper who had a greyhound called Stay on Your Line, Mike Kennelly, this goalkeeper actually stays on his line. Both the Enright lad and Shane Quinn, they stay on the line. They wouldn't be chipped.
But even with all that, and acknowledging Listowel's excellent performance last weekend, I think Kilcummin are deservedly favourites for this game, between home advantage, between the way they've been playing. Like, they've 3 wins in the competition. It's kind of gone under the radar, Kilcummin, because they haven't done it in a flashy way, but they've taken care of Fireys. They've obviously taken care of Fossa the last day. They took care of John Mitchell's in between. They're on a nice little roll, and they've been around a while. And a certain producer of this podcast had them down as his dark horses at the very start of the competition. So I think with the way they've got Sean...
there's a good few of them going to a bar in Killarney on, is it High Street or New Street? One of them, High Street.
Is that a good bar now? Or
it is. You'd meet strange characters in there, but it's a good bar.
But the farmer,
it's called Jacksy's, I think.
Brendan Keeley is outstanding in goals for them. And the farmer, Paul O'Shea.
He can talk... last Sunday, was it Sunday or Saturday? Whatever day it was. Sunday. His kickouts were brilliant, and he took a 45 which he converted. He missed another one. He will go up for the 2-pointers. Paul O'Shea was good without being outstanding the last day. Gorman alongside him, excellent Kevin Gorman. The defence, Darrell Callan was on David for a lot of the time. But the two players that I like most, Matt Keane, 7 points, 6 in the second half.
Philip O'Leary.
Unbelievable. And Philip O'Leary. Now, Philip scored 5 points, but Philip's brother, Sean, isn't it great to see Sean back playing football? Right. In 2021, he was in hospital. He got 7 points of blood, right? After a bad accident coming down. Kerry against Tipperary in the Munster Senior. His future was ahead of him as regards, making a Kerry setup. He had a fracture come from his sternum. He had the bone came out through his leg. He had right and left leg. When he had the tibia and the femur all broken. He was, a wreck. Yeah. And when they did an operation on him, one leg was an inch shorter than the other, and they had to take it off the other leg. So he was 6 months in a wheelchair. He was 9 months without being able to walk properly. This is 21 out 22.
It's one of the feel-good stories of the championship.
You know, really.
It's up there with the Dara Roach story. If Glenflesk went on to win it for Dara, and if Kilcummin went on to win it for Sean O'Leary, sometimes these people, they shock you with their resilience and their recovery.
They tell you what it means to them, you know. Yeah. And then there's other guys around the county and they're not playing for one reason or another. And you see these guys going through the pain barrier. I suppose, first of all, maybe questions, would he walk again? Would he be right?
Yes, exactly.
You know, look at Darrell Roach, horrific.
The easiest thing for them would be not to play again.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's the easiest thing.
Yeah. Exactly, John. And that's why I wanted to give him a mention and say well done, and I hope he does well. He's playing very well. He's playing a link role, but the brother, Philip, he can get points from anywhere, and he's always linking with the midfield. There was a stat given there that I picked up myself, although JC repeated it. 17 kickouts in the first half, 4 of them only they won, 13 lost by Fossa. Can you believe that?
So Kilcummin very strong in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and around the middle third of the pitch. Now, Kilcummin and Listowel, boys. We know Listowel is a good team. We discussed both. Who would you go for?
I think Kilcummin, home advantage, and I think we've gone through it there. Listowel have done really well, and particularly the win against Long Rangers, but I think
they're just a little bit further advanced.
Is that an old Kerry thing now that you don't like Listowel?
No, it's not, and I have great admiration for Listowel, and they're a young team with experience, but I think Kilcummin are a bit...
I think it's more of a pressure game for Kilcummin, though. I think Listowel, you don't go in saying that they've nothing to lose, but they're only a couple of seasons up after winning the Junior Premier. While Kilcummin, I think, for them, they will feel that they must make the breakthrough again pretty soon and try and get themselves back up to senior level.
Was it Milltown Castlemaine that beat them at home after extra time? Was it 2 years ago? And then Milltown went on after and beat Fossa. Wasn't it Kilcummin?
Could have been
that game. It was, yeah. So they can be beaten at home. I think Kilcummin might shade it. But again, wouldn't be surprised if Listowel won it.
The form of Eddie Healy, though, he's in outstanding.
Yeah, he is.
Playing outstanding football.
And he's a man marker. He can run. He's got pace. He's got skill. And he's a man who will be playing, I've no doubt, National League with Kerry next year. Now, moving on. We'll do one more. We'll jump on the Saturday. The other game on Saturday is in the Premier Junior, so we might as well take it in. Ballymac, it's out there in Ballymac at 3 o'clock, and it's Ballymac versus Ballyduff. The Duffers without Hurleys are just as dangerous as the Duffers with Hurleys. Would you agree?
They're an amazing bunch, because I remember a few weeks ago we were wondering for the first round of this how they'd react, what players would turn out, and we needn't have asked the question, because what they've done for the last, they never let down their own parish.
They've been doing this for 30, 40 years.
Exactly. The pride they have, and they're beaten in the hurling, or they win the hurling once, and then they're out next the following week in football, and
they've no break.
An incredible bunch.
Yeah.
A huge talent.
Yeah.
You talk about the Segals and the Sullivans and the Boyles, they're and the Gouldings. Incredible talent.
Jack Sullivan, they're incredible.
But they're definitely, but they're really up against it this weekend.
Yeah. So would we think that Ballymac Ballymac need to get over the line? I'm warning them, get over the line for one man again, and that's Aidan Breen. Aidan has been such a servant to them. If anyone was to get a medal, a county medal, I'd like to see Aidan Breen get a county medal. He is just an unbelievable servant to the club and all he's done for him. So he's running out of time. He's young, he's not as old as you. He's still only in his 30s, but he's running out of time. A lot of young lads in that team. Jack Joyce come in now, made a huge difference. You have the Derek Keane, you have Donald Daly. He works.
Again, Ballymac in the Junior Premier. It's
Niall Collins.
It's time to deliver.
It's time to deliver. Yeah. So I think Ballymac will beat Ballyduff. You?
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ballymac as well. I'd like to give a quick mention to Vinnie Horan and wish him a very speedy recovery from his cruciate knee ligament injury. There's a lot of players going down from week to week with different injuries. We'd have to mention Sean Coffey from Beaufort as well.
Joe's son,
Damien Burke from Nagale, and hopefully Damien's injury is not as serious as first feared. And it's just like the rate
Brian Sheehan.
The Brian Sheehan, Achilles tendon. The rate of attrition is high. Like we forget these games are brilliant entertainment for us who are watching them, but for the players playing, there's always a risk of serious injury, and we wish them all a speedy recovery.
I'll go back to what Gavin White told us in Muckross that day before the Munster final, when we asked him what's kind of
the new rules game.
What's it going to do? He says you need a good panel. It's going to have a lot of injuries because of the pressure and the pace, etc. is played. And the man, I mean, he could be called Mystic Gavin, but it doesn't sound as good as Mystic Murt.
No, it's better.
I'd like to re-echo what John said, because these are serious injuries by the lads, and wish them a speedy recovery. It's a long road ahead, and hopefully that we'll see him back playing against Shockley.
Yeah. Right, we've got to kick on. The first game I have down here is, we could ignore this really. John will be at this at 2 o'clock on Saturday. Dua and St. Simmons. It's again in Sunday, and on Sunday, this is Saturday. It's Sunday, 2 o'clock, Dua and St. Simmons. That's Premier Junior again. Tough one to call. Dua have been playing well. Thomas Gannon, your man Lucy at midfield, fine midfielder. The O'Connors, of course, and then you come up to them up front, Killian Buckley. They're no pushover.
Yeah, it's an Kerry derby as well, which adds a bit of spice to it.
What's Kerry derbies? I wouldn't have I know nothing about them.
These are two teams with, you look at Dua under John Halpin. They've made massive strides.
John is brilliant.
Super guy, gets the best out of the team. You talk about Donal Rooney earlier on, there are certain fellas that get the best out of a team.
Yeah.
And
Pat O'Shea is reported to do third throat, but I know does he or not. They haven't won much.
And players react to it, and Donnacha Maher, huge that he's back for them. He's a fine player.
Yeah.
And in a number of positions, he's versatile. I think he's in at full back at the moment, but Cormac
Dillon,
attacking. Cormac Dillon, 14, 12 points. That's a huge asset to have at that level.
Yeah.
But, probably maybe Sean T. Dillon or someone will be taking him up the next day, which won't be an easy task either.
No.
Killian Trant, these are big games.
Sean McGrath plays up.
Huge games for Killian Trant.
Huge game for Killian Trant. A guy that we all rate, and he'll be looking at it as a shop window to get further time in with Kerry and get on that squad.
Do we think Simmons, who were in a couple of Kerry finals over the last 6 or 7 years, I don't know. I don't think Dua have been in an Kerry final for quite a while, since the early noughties, was it?
All the pressure is on St. Simmons.
Yeah.
They were in the semi-final of this last year. They only lost on penalties to Ardfert. That would have been a gut-wrenching defeat for them that day. They could have made a final, and who knows what would have happened if they'd have got there. I think Dua can go into this game in front of their own fans. They're just up from junior. Yep. It's already a big achievement to get to junior premier quarterfinals. Of course they'll want to go further. I think the pressure's off Dua. I think they can go really gung-ho, attack this game, give it everything and see where it ends up. I think St. Simmons have to win.
Yeah, I think it was only about 3 years ago at Max, for myself and yourself, on a wet Saturday, stood in the corner of a very wet day back in Churchill, and we saw
novice final.
Yeah. And now we're talking about junior premier. We've jumped. Do you know anything about novice, John? All right, you do.
Go back. They beat Talbot out in Listowel in Frank Sheehy Park, and we were speaking about the crowds that were going to games. That night it bucked the trend. It was a game under lights in Listowel, which is a fantastic setting anyway, but a cracking game. Talbot were favourites going into it. Anthony Maher made a comeback that night, remember? And
that's the night that Shane Wright fell backwards when he made someone.
It was a serious victory for them, and they have taken the momentum on into the junior.
And there's going to be some huge crowd in Dua for this game.
Yeah. So who would you think?
Like John, I'd agree with John. Simmons have to win it. You'll rule out the water peril, but I think Simmons' experience, and they were here last year. We were here for that game when they lost the penalty shootout to Ardfert. They were gutted. I expect Simmons to shade it.
John?
Yeah, St. Simmons just by 1 or 2 points. I think it'll be really tight. But it'll test St. Simmons to the very limit to get over this one, I think.
Yeah, well, I'll have to support my club, St. Simmons. That's my club. I live in the St. Simmons area. You realise that?
Well, I suppose your other clubs went out at the weekend, Glenbeigh and Lown Rangers and whoever else.
Yeah, they're still around, and Cremon, the novice are there. No, they're gone. I think all my teams are gone. Oh, Dr. Crokes is still there. Right, moving on to Listowel at Ardfert. Clive O'Callaghan tells us he's missing 17 going through electric picnic and 5 or 6 injuries. I don't know if he's going to have a team at all. They're playing this try 2 o'clock on Sunday. Now Ardfert are a tough team, as they proved last year. They lost the final, obviously, in the Fireys, but you couldn't overlook them. But I've been impressed. I saw Listowel in the County League. I also saw them in this championship. Listowel have a good side. The Murphys, Rory Murphy, the brother Ronan Buckley. They even bring on your man O'Sullivan. He's still hanging around, the big lad. So they have a good side. Home advantage. Listowel, I mean, they were involved in a classic a couple of years ago against Fossa that they should have won and lost. And didn't Fossa go on and win the All-Ireland actually? Wasn't that the year they won the All-Ireland? Yeah. So like they've been around, they're like Ballymac and a few more teams we were talking about. They've been around the houses too and close to going over the line, but finishing over the line. Do you think they can take Ardfert?
I think, like what you said about the injuries with Ardfert, that's going to be critical for them.
Nathan O'Driscoll, they're kicking more 2-pointers than any team that I know.
Yeah, Dahi Griffin, Nathan O'Driscoll, those guys, the Egan's. But I think that Listowel will have that be too much for them. I think, the Evanses, Paddy Lahan, these guys, they'll be hard to beat. And I think, like John said earlier on about Ballymac and about St. Sinnans, I think they need to win that, to kick on and go to the next level.
Yeah, massive game for Rory Murphy as well. He's got to be delivering the goods in these matches. There's so many players on the fringes of the Kerry team that are putting their hands up, and Rory's one of them. Believed to have played very well last week, scored the goal, I think, in their match. I think it might just be a little step too far this week for Ardfert. They almost came a cropper last week against Brosna. It took a wonder score from Nathan O'Driscoll, a 2-pointer in injury time, to salvage their whole season. And if they are to, they do have serious injury issues. We don't know about
Kerry playing.
We don't know.
Maybe number 31 will arrive.
We don't know Australia. We don't know about the availability of certain players over the weekend. That'll figure itself out on the day of the game.
You believe Clive O'Callaghan?
But the Ferrises and these lads, they're very hard to beat them.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players in that team. Liam O'Connor, there's a lot. He came on the last day. He'll start the next day, I'd say. But with home advantage as well, I think it's massive in these type of games. Even though there's been several years it hasn't proven to be the case in these quarterfinals. I think Listowel, especially with John Evans, I think they should have enough to get over the line.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Listowel should win that one. Now we'll go to Keele and Castle Gregory, and I think you're going to be there on Sunday, John.
No, I'm at.
Beaufort
game.
You're Beaufort, yeah. The big one we'll finish with the Beaufort game. Keele and Castle Gregory, another different one to call. You'd imagine Keele, the way they've been playing, they've been impressive, although they got a rare fright over in Brosna. Keith Evans had to rescue them, but last weekend they were impressive enough in dispensing of Onascall. Can they get rid of another dangerous team, a West Kerry team in Castle Gregory? That's a West Kerry derby now almost, although Keeler and Mid Kerry, as opposed to North Kerry derby. Yeah. You keep telling us about North Kerry derbies.
You mentioned Brosna, they are really unlucky.
Yeah, the most unlucky team probably. You mentioned St. Mary.
Both of them, I think. Yeah.
But Brosna, they only lost by 2 points in their first game to Onascall, and then they were winning their second and their third game in injury time. And a goal the first day goes against them, and a 2-pointer goes against them, and they get 2 draws, and they're out. It's cutthroat. They could have won the group, and they end up going out. But
Keele and Castle Gregory, what do you think?
I think the Evans is like Thomas Ladden and these fellas. I think they'll just have.
Liam Evans is just playing very well, John.
Yeah, outstanding last week against Onascall. Best player on the pitch, especially in the second half. James Crean had done huge damage in the first half.
Right.
He kicked 4 points from play.
Which he's capable of.
Second half, they put Liam on him, stopped him. Got
forward. Playing or is injured?
No, Garrod is injured and Gary Sayers are injured, so it'll be interesting to see if either or both of them are back for this weekend.
Is it Donham or Coop playing?
They could. Would he be your cousin?
He would.
He didn't come on the last day anyway. Maybe on the injured list.
He's injured.
Yeah. Well, that's what you would probably tell us.
Waterby. Oh yeah, he's injured. But he's got desperate hamstring problems.
But Yeah, I think Castle Gregory are very, very dependent on Cian O'Grady and Maurice O'Connell for scores, plus Thomas O'Donnell's influence around the middle of the field. They'll really put it up to Kiel, because they put it up, remember you were there last year, John, they put it up to Ardfert for long periods of the quarter-final. But I do think at this moment in time, Kiel are in a better place.
Yeah.
Willie Evans is doing a great job. They're making fierce progress. I think
Gary Sayers coming back made a huge difference. I know he was.
They're not going to say it out loud themselves, but they will feel that they are genuine contenders, Kiel.
Yeah. And they have a great goalkeeper in Cahalane. And Aaron Cahalane, or Aaron Cahalane, Aaron, I think it is, still playing. He's nearly your age.
He's playing a long time, but really a tough defender, and gives his all for them. I think they'll have that be too much for Castle Gregory.
Right, well, I'm going on Sunday. Gallerus, the second last one, boys. 3 o'clock on Gaeltacht and Niamh Guilla. Now, on Gaeltacht have impressed me. They were very impressive against St. Mary's. I didn't see their first game. I think, John, you saw their first game against Desmond's, or somebody did. Not too sure. But if you're looking at on Gaeltacht, I mean, their victory last weekend, they really, shook everybody up into, say, hang on a second, this team has quality to beat Glenflesk. Glenflesk is no small, and I think it's Aidan Walsh coming has made a huge difference. His partnership at midfield with Cathal O'Begley is absolutely crucial. Then the cornerbacks, and in one side you have Sean O'Quinn, on the other side you have O'Begley. You have the two Sorlands back there. You Pádraig O'Shea and Breen.
O'Connor is playing unbelievable stuff.
Éanna is playing unbelievable stuff, and Rory O'Begley is playing unbelievable stuff. And you have Tomás Ballybrack and Tomás Dunqueen, the two Tomás O'Sheas. Like, they really are. And PJ McLeod got injured now, I think, in Glenflesk, so he might miss this game. But I really think then Niamh Guilla, like, I have to, because
Niamh Guilla recovered brilliantly from losing their first match.
Yeah. Bill Reardon reckons he's got a secret weapon. Now, Bill Reardon was involved in a very unusual incident on last Sunday. He was an umpire an umpire out in Kilcummin, with Kilcummin and Fossa, and he was watching the ball rather than watching the ball. What was he watching? He was watching the trajectory of the ball, and he lost sight of it, right? And it ended up that it was a point scored by Paddy Clifford, but he didn't know whether to put up the flag or not. But obviously his referee told him, Paul Hayes told him, put up the flag, and Paddy told him to put up the flag. And he did put up the flag, but he's very flustered about it, and he said to me, don't mention it on the podcast. So I decided
to mention
it, yeah. Just to...
So your Guinea Guilla is another club that you're barred from?
Absolutely. So tell me about Niamh Guilla.
The lesson here is do the opposite of what Murt says anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Murt.
Now, what about Niamh Guilla? Were you inside in the cement hut? You weren't. Who was?
He was at Strand Road.
Strand Road. Were you in Strand Road, John, that day?
Yeah.
Right.
They were fantastic.
They gave an exhibition at Strand Road, being honest with you, and they totally deflated Kells O'Reilly's on the night. They beat them.
How did they do the second half?
Defensively, I thought they were really well set up. In the middle of the field, you had Collins, you had the O'Learys.
Paul O'Leary and Paddy. Paddy's another player on the fringes of the Kerry team who's playing absolutely brilliant. He's had a lot of injuries. Yeah. He's really motoring. And really good forwards. John O'Leary, Sean O'Keefe, Pádraig Doyle. They're getting a lot of scores, Guinea Guilla, and they carried it on against Glenbeigh, Glencar last week as well. 2 wins in a row. They'll relish going into Gallerus. Like, they're going to be underdogs. They know that.
If the wind blows, John, to go to Gallerus and win, you have to be 5 or 6 points a better team than Gaeltacht, I reckon. And I reckon this year, with Aidan Walsh involved with them, providing he stays fit, and with the team they have, I think they'll rattle the ultimate. I think they could win it out.
I think momentum is slightly with Gaeltacht for this match.
Yeah.
The home advantage, the way that they're playing, the boost they'll have taken from beating Glenflesk in their own patch. Even from the very first day that they got the draw against Castle Island Desmonds, I think they got a lift from that even. Then went and beat St. Mary's. Yeah, I'd give on Gael to
Yeah,
Gage.
well, I think Sean O'Leary now will be listening to this when it's viewed, and he'll be hoping that we write off Niamh Gilla, because he'll play it into the players. He'll get the clip out, play it to the players, and everybody wrote us off, and they'll go back with a cause. So just to balance that now, to make sure that I'm allowed into.
They don't need a cause. They have you.
Yeah. The farm. I think the farm. The Gaeltacht, I didn't see them playing for a bit until the day against St Mary's, but a real physical team, a mobile team. Their midfield partnership, I think Carlo Beglick is playing some superb football.
Another fringe player.
Another fringe player. And Éanna Conacour has been doing it for the last number of years. The Sutherlands, they're really well balanced. But if there's a team that can test them, Niamh Gilla are a team that can really test them. They have their physical power,
their physicality, they run at you as well. Run at you. They will test their defence.
I think that will be a very good game.
I think it will, around the middle of the field, be intriguing when you put Collins and the O'Learys in there with Aidan Welsh and O'Beglick. Brian O'Beglick.
Lads, I'll just tell you this. I don't often say this. I don't often boast about things. But once I'm there, it's going to be a good game. I humbly acknowledge. What do you think of that?
No comment.
Right, okay, fine, we move on to the most important game of the weekend, the one that will create the most headlines, I suppose, and that's up in Beaufort on Sunday evening. It's the Intermediate Championship. The two favourites, really, I think they're giant favourites at 7-4, as far as I can see, which is strange. It's Beaufort at home to Fossa, not Fossa, Fossa. Right, at home to Fossa, that's Beaufort at home to Fossa. Now the strange thing is, John, now bookmakers can be strange and they don't know a lot about football, maybe Gaelic football, but Fossa are slight favourites, just slight favourites over Beaufort. Now, can you see the logic in that, since Fossa lost their last game against Kilcummin and Beaufort went through it unbeaten, the group stages?
It's because of the Cliffords factor.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask the question of why Fossa might be favourites for this game. It's just simple that bookies look and they see David and they see Paddy and they think, whatever.
Paddy came on at the 36 minutes.
Whatever team that has the two lads are always going to be given a decent chance of winning any particular game. Now,
they want to improve.
Yeah, hugely. Maybe they weren't overly pushed about beating Kilcummin and getting home advantage last week, but what they certainly would not have wanted was to be absolutely demolished in the second half
and on a
scoreline of 15 points to 2.
But nobody took up Keane.
Like that. No matter what, whether you have David, Paddy, or whoever you have, that has to be worrying for Jerome Stack and the management team.
The last day was like, the lone piper at a funeral. He was up the front and he got the ball a couple of times in the second half. He was starved of possession. Now, the one thing that you'll be told about any footballer, if he doesn't get the ball, he won't thrive. And he didn't get the ball. Now, he was turned over once, and I think he kicked the wide as well.
And the basic story of that, Murt, though, is that for David to fully thrive, he needs Paddy.
Yeah, true. He had him for a lot of the second half, but they were a beaten docket at midfield. And if you consider they've got Keane O'Shea, a fine football, Matt Rennie, a fine football at midfield.
They have big bodies, Darren Ryan. They have a lot of big bodies around middle of the field.
Yeah, but
maybe they just weren't completely focused on that game, which you will imagine they have to be for this weekend.
Maybe the intensity wasn't there. There was there in earlier games that we saw with them when they were at Kilcummin. Beaufort. Tell me something about Beaufort. Has anybody seen Beaufort live?
I was at the game last week against Kilcummin.
That would mean you saw it?
Tough. It was a kind of not much given away in the first half. Rahale's led at half time. Tomas Kennedy kicked a couple of 2-pointers with the wind.
Who impressed you for Beaufort?
In the second half, I thought Ethan Coffey at full back. He did a real man-marking
job on Jack Savage.
He nullified Jack Savage, which took a lot of this thing out of Rahale's.
With all due respect to Jack Savage, David Clifford is going to be different.
Oh, absolutely, but I think Sean O'Leary, Mike Breen, the half-back line, really solid. Nathan Breen in the middle of the field.
Big Ronan Murphy.
And then like Liam Carey, Darragh O'Connor, Jack O'Connor above.
Kieran Kennedy's a good playmaker.
Absolutely. They brought on young Darragh Dinhey. Stuck a great goal.
Fergal Hallis is a good free taker.
Fergal Hallis, very balanced side. A side that have their visions on going further.
Ethan Coffey could be a player that they decide to put on Paddy.
Yeah.
Not David.
Yeah.
Because the way he stuck to Jack Savage was kind of the Cairns Rally's playmaker.
He was, yeah.
And Ethan Coffey really made it difficult for him. He's a player, he's a defender who can frustrate you.
But the truth is that Beaufort can frustrate you as well. They have been close to winning county titles that day that McGill decided to travel and lost Jerome Stack, lost their manager, who's in charge of us, and now it is ironic. Went to Killarney that day, McGill, no hopers, and they were 8-2 or 10-2 up at half time. The game was over. Beaufort don't always deliver. This is a crucial game. They're going to have to deliver in this one. Yeah. It's only quarter final, but this is a big test.
Massively, and as we've mentioned, a lot of teams that have to win this weekend. I think Beaufort are one of them. They have home advantage. They have a better team than Fossa.
Yeah.
Fossa have the two best individuals on the pitch. That's what I think it's going to come down to at the end of the day. And that's not being disrespectful to the other Fossa players. I do think that Beaufort from 1 to 15 are stronger, are better than Fossa. But that doesn't mean that Fossa won't win.
Yeah, Ted O'Gorman has been benefiting from the concentration on David Clifford and probably Paddy by defenders. They tend to leave him out left, and he kicked 2 great points. He kicked 1-2, 1-3 here.
There's more in Emmett O'Shea as well. Emmett O'Shea was fantastic against Fireys.
1 free against Kilcummin.
He had about 2-6 against Fireys, I think he scored.
That's right,
the previous week. So they could also do with Tig being fit. Tig is another forward option if he was available. He's a loss to them too, so. And Rian Collin go off with an injury?
Off after about 50 seconds.
Yeah. So you'd hopefully that's just a precaution.
Yeah. So they have a lot. So let's call it, lads.
I think from what I saw last week, Murt, and I'd agree with John, the overall balance of the Beaufort team, I think that bit stronger. I think they have enough to win, in spite of Fossa having the 2 lads.
John?
Yeah, I think John's hit the nail on the head. It probably is a battle between the better team against 2 geniuses.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10 is probably the better team that comes out on top. But there is still that nagging doubt in your mind, just that if David has a field day, of course Fossa can still win. But I give a tentative, and it is tentative and hesitant, to Beaufort.
Yeah. No, I think, as I said last day, Genius does what Genius must do, and I can see David having a great game. I can see Paddy being involved. I can see Matt Rennie and O'Shea doing much better at midfield, because I think it'll be a straight battle unless they go short on both sides. But if there's a contest, I think he'll come and crowd them out. I can't see Beaufort doing that because of the nature of their game. Why change a winning game just to curb another crowd and then they get caught in the break by David? I do think it's going to be very tight, and I do think, as I'd agree with you, Beaufort must have an outstanding chance. But I just have this nagging feeling that Jerome Stack, there was something on that I wasn't aware of, and I can't say there was anything on in terms of intensity and the will to win last weekend. They have to be better than they showed against Kilcummin, and if they are, I think David could bring him over the line. So I'd give him a narrow winner or 2, and it wouldn't surprise me if he went to overtime. And if it goes to overtime, sure, David will be delighted.
And of course, from the first weekend, I Fossa and Glenflesk tipped for the final. And now I'm kind of half saying tonight that both of them will lose. So basically, I haven't a clue.
Yeah, well, we agreed, and that's been well known for a long time. The other thing is that we have, I had Beaufort and Fossa for the final, so my final has gone up in smoke as well. But if one of them win, I could still.
Who was your final, John?
I'm not so sure, John.
Did you have Lone Rangers in it?
I think I did, yeah.
You had Lone Rangers, you had Lone Rangers against, was it Glenflesk or Beaufort?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was one of those, yeah. I think by the week.
You didn't have Lone Rangers against Rallies, no.
Lone Rangers against Rallies.
No.
So John is gone down to the novice, back of the class with a big D in his head, while Sam and John are holding on just by the skin of our teeth. So that's to look forward, lads. We had a discussion there about Jack O'Connor. Great to see the management team back again, and we can leave that aside now and concentrate on the latter stages of the club championships and, of course, the senior county championships, which will bring us right up to the October bank holiday weekend. And
just before we finish, Murt, we mentioned speedy recoveries to players, and the only 2 games we haven't mentioned for the weekend are the last 2 games in the junior group stages. So a very speedy recovery to Philip O'Connor out in Cardle.
Yeah.
Like one of the most admired footballers in the county.
Such a lovely guy.
So
Yeah,
it's
really
really
nice
sad
guy.
that Philip is going to be out for the rest of the season for Cardle. So
Yeah. Well, I have the love he's promised. The Skellig Rangers have no chance of getting through. Valencia are in the same group, and Cordal are going to get through. Who else is in that group?
My van.
There's going to be Cordal and My Van that will get through. So I hope that will. Mr. Lovey down in Port McGee will be watching this, and I'll hear about it once it goes on the air. He'll probably go right to the end of the broadcast. So right, that's remember as well that you can see all the games at the weekend in the Senior, Intermediate and Junior Premier. Kerry Petroleum sponsored the course. You can see them live and exclusive on Clubber. So make sure that you tune in. John, you'll be in action. Where did you say again? You're in
Dingle and Nagale.
Dingle and Nagale. John, you're in where?
And the North Kerry Derby then on Sunday, Murt.
Oh, don't forget that derby.
Go on,
There's no derbies in North Kerry unless it's a donkey derby. Tell me.
I'll be at Stacks and Rathmore and Beaufort and Fossa on Sunday. But I'll also be out in Ballymac on Saturday afternoon against Ballyduff.
Yeah. I'll be here on Saturday night, and for Clubber I'm in Gallerus, so I'm the man they send into the West. So that's it.
And just our producer JC and his twin is going to be doing all 10 games.
Yeah, and his twin are doing all 10 games, and the quality of JC's product and Tom as well, it has to be seen to be believed. So tune in and watch the game. So many people from outside the county have told me that they've been sneaking watching us, and it's great to see. And it's great to be able to see games from other counties as well. We're so preoccupied, I suppose, with Kerry at the moment, we don't have time. But later on, you can check back and look. And a winter night, when Man United are playing the Wednesday night, why not look at the Kilkenny hurling junior match or something? Would be more, probably more beneficial to one's emotional health. Let's put it like that.
Correct.
Correct.
That's very insensitive, no more at this stage.
Well, it was a jibe earlier that hurt me. I'm just returning fire. So
you probably have as many soccer clubs that you support as you have GAA clubs.
There we go again. The man can't stay silent, and I'm accused of talking a lot. Thanks very much, John Kennedy. You're a proper gentleman.
Thanks,
to not such a gentleman, but I still like him. John O'Dowd, thanks for travelling all the way from Tarbert. To JC O'Shea, who is our man behind the camera and put all this together. We'll be up later on tonight if he gets a chance from serving pints in the bar, or to be up first thing tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for it on YouTube. Might be on Spotify as well. And next week we might change the format slightly. We hope we'll have another one or two in the panel, but we'll look forward to the semi-finals, which are always exciting. And also we'll check back and see how many did I get right. So that's it for now. Bye from Murt Murphy and all the gang in Kingdom Calls.